The table shows information about the marks scored on an examination question by each of 40 students. Work out the mean mark. Well, we had 13 students who got 0 marks. So in total, 13 times 0, that's a total of 0 marks. 2 students got 1 mark. That's a total of 2 marks. 3 students, 2 marks. Total of 6 marks. 3 students, 8. And 4 students, 14. That gives you a total of 88 marks scored by 40 students. To work out the mean, well, we're just going to do 88 divided by 40, which gives you a mean of 2.2. Type the equation in exactly as you see it in the question paper on your calculator, and you should get the solution 0.35328, etc. Correct to 2 significant figures. Well, our first significant figure, don't count a 0 unless you've had another number, so our first significant figure is the 3, second is the 5. Look at the 3, does the 3 round up or down? Well, that would round down. So in fact, to 2 significant figures, 0.35.
Hello.
Question 3. Multiply out 6 brackets n minus 2. We've got the 6 times the n, and then the 6 times the minus 2. Therefore, 6n minus 12. Factorize. Well, a common factor is a p. P times p gives me p squared. P times minus 5 gives me minus 5p. Solve this algebraic equation. Well, to get rid of the divide by 2, I'm going to times by 2. So timesing by 2 on both sides cancels the divide by 2, leaving me with 7x minus 3 on the left hand side and 2x on the right hand side. Now there are a greater number of x's on the left hand side, so I'm going to bring the x's to that side, hence taking away 2x from both sides. That would cancel on the right hand side, leaving me with 0. On the left hand side I've got 7x minus 2x, which leaves me with 5x minus 3. Add 3 to both sides. Cancels out the minus 3. 5x equals 3. And now divide by 5. So x equals 3/5. Give a reason why x is 107 degrees. Well, let's say corresponding angle. I've got 2 parallel lines here. Some people like to think of it as an F angle. Technical name, corresponding angle. So x equals 107 degrees. My reason being, it is corresponding to the angle at A. Part B. Work out the value of y. Well, with this top polygon, if I cut it into a number of triangles, I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. Hence, 4 times 180, which equals 720 degrees. So there is 720 degrees in the 6-sided shape. We know 5 of the 6 angles, so if I do 720, take away the other angles, it gives me the value y. Therefore y equals 122 degrees. Calculate the value of x when p is 43 and y is 6.5. Well, using the formula that they've given you, I substitute in my values. So 43 equals 12x plus 2 times my y value, 6.5. 2 times 6.5 is 13. So that leaves me with 43 equals 12x plus 13. To get rid of the 13, I need to take it away on both sides, hence leaving me with 30 on the left hand side and 12x on the right hand side. To get rid of the 12, I need to divide by 12 on both sides. Therefore, x equals 30 divided by 12, which equals 2.5. Part B, to find the area of the shape in terms of x and y. Well, we need to find the area of the rectangle, which is just going to be 4x times y, and the area of the triangle. Now I'm going to use this edge here as my base. So the area of my triangle becomes a half times the base times the height of the triangle over its perpendicular height, so times 3x. Half times 4 times 3 leaves me with, well, 4 times 3 is 12 times a half, so 6, and we've got x times x squared. So my total area is 4xy plus 6x squared. So my total area, 4xy plus 6x squared. Leaving your answer in simplest form, well, that means to put it in brackets if possible. Common factor from 4 and 6 is 2. Equally common to both terms is an x. 2 times 2 would give me the 4. I also need the y. For the second term, 2 times 3 gives me 6. X times x gives me x squared. Before the increase, the price of a flight to Cairo was £475. So if you're flying to Cairo, the price you'd pay, i.e. 100% of the price that you pay, would be £475. But now the airline have increased the prices by 8%. So we're now paying, rather than 100%, we're paying 108% of the original price. So £475 times 108% equals £513. Part B, the increase in price of a flight to Mumbai was £48. Work out the price of a flight to Mumbai after the increase. So it was increased by 8% and it went up £48. So the original price I don't know, but I know that it increased by 8%. Or alternatively, 8% of the original amount must be the amount it went up by, £48. Rather, to get rid of the times by 8%, if I divide by 8%, leaving me with x equals 48 divided by 8%, which gives me a value of £600. Now we want to find the price of a flight to Mumbai after the increase. So this value here, £600, is the price of the flight before the increase. After the increase of £48, I'm going to have to pay £648 to fly to Mumbai. Question 7. List the numbers of the set S and V. Alternatively, S intersect V. So we want to find the values that are in both, well, the only values that are in both A, E, U. Part 2. List the members of the set S union V, alternatively S or V. Therefore we list everything in both sets, but we don't repeat values. So the solution is S, Q, R, A, E, I, O, U. To calculate the total surface area of the cylinder, so surface area, not area, we need to calculate the area of the top, the area of the curved section, the area of the bottom. Top and bottom are the same, that's just pi r squared, or pi times 5.1 squared. The area of the curved section of the cylinder, well, if you look on the formula sheet, it is 2 pi r h, where h is the height. So 2 times pi times my radius times the height. Obviously we've got 2 circles. If I sum all of that together, that gives me the solution. 281.989356. We need to give our solution to 3 significant figures, so therefore 282. Question 9. To work out an estimate for the number of these runners whose birthday was on that day, we need to take the number of runners and divide by the number of days in the year. This gives us an estimate of 103 runners. 103 because we must have around a whole number. We can't have 102.8 of a runner. So 103 runners. Question 10. Work out the value of x. Well, first things first is to notice we've got a right-angled triangle. We want to find an angle, so we're thinking trigonometry. This side's the opposite, longest side hypotenuse, adjacent, circle what we know. We want to find out the angle. The formula that links A and H, K. Cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. We want to find our angle x, so cosine x equals the adjacent, 8.3, divided by the hypotenuse, 9.5. X equals, well, to inverse the cosine function, shift cosine on the calculator. That gives you the angle, which is 29.1 to 1 decimal place. Question 11. Find the highest common factor of 54 and 90. I'd suggest the easiest way to do this is to write 54 and 90 as the product of their prime factors, plotted on a Venn diagram, and hence the highest common factor and also the lowest common multiple drop out. So using a prime factor tree, 54 equals 2 times 3 times 3 times 3, and 90 equals 2 times 5 times 3 times 3. Putting these numbers on a Venn diagram, so we put in what's common to both in the centre. They've both got 2 3s and 1 2. What's left over to write in 54 is a 3. What's left over to write in 90 is a 5. The highest common factor is given by the values in the middle, the intersect, those values multiplied together. So 2 times 3 times 3, which gives me 18. The lowest common multiple is given by all of those values multiplied together. So 3 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5, which equals 270. Draw a cumulative frequency graph for the table. Well, you plot your values at the top of the range. So the group 50 to 60 has a cumulative frequency of 12. The group 50 to 70 has a cumulative frequency of 42. the group 50 to 80 has a cumulative frequency of 54. Once you've plotted all your points, you can draw a nice curve through the points. Use your graph to find an estimate for the median diameter of the 60 oranges. Well, if we had all our 60 oranges in order of size in a row, to find the median we go to the one in the middle, i.e. the 30th orange, which would have a diameter of 66 millimeters. Calculate the size of angle ADB. We want to find this angle here. First of all, we need to find the angles, or the other angles in that triangle. So the angle in this corner, well, it's in the alternate segment to the 39 degrees. That's the alternate segment theorem. And angle A, well, opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 103, which equals 77. So therefore, as there are 180 degrees in a triangle, if I take away 77 and 39, it leaves me with the angle at corner D, which is 64 degrees. Question 14. Simplify. Well, first let's think about the numbers. 4 times 6, 24. P cubed times P squared. When I'm multiplying it, add the powers. Q to the 5 times Q to the power of 1. I could have a little 1 there, adding the powers again. Q to the power of 6. Everything in part B is cubed. So 5 cubed, 5 to the power of 3, 125. X squared, all cubed. And I've got brackets, I multiply the powers. 2 times 3 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. Factorize. Here we have the difference of two squares. 3a times 3a gives me 9a squared plus b minus b. B times minus b gives me minus b squared. If I was to multiply the other two parts, I'd get minus 3b plus 3b, which would cancel out. So fully factorised, 3a plus b, 3a minus b. Question 15a. The solution of the simultaneous equations is where the lines cross on the graph. So that is when x equals 3 and y equals 2. Part B, slightly more complex. To find the equation of the line which is parallel to the line with this equation and passes through the point 0, 10, I first need to rearrange my equation to get in the form y equals mx plus c. So 2x plus 3y equals 12. First, let's take away 2x from both sides. So leaving me with 3y equals minus 2x plus 12. Then dividing by 3 on both sides leaves me with y equals minus 2/3 x plus 12 divided by 3, 4. So my gradient is minus 2/3. I know that my intersect for this line, and if we look back to the question, is when x equals 0, y equals 10. i.e. they've told you the intersect point. Therefore the equation of the line is going to be y equals minus 2/3 x, minus 2/3 is its gradient, and its point of intersection, the point where it crosses the y-axis, when x equals 0, y equals 10. Part C, well, I want to consider y values greater than x minus 1. So if I choose a coordinate point, one side of the line, let's go for this one here, my x value 4, x minus 4 gives me 3, my y value at this point is 5. Well, 5 is greater than 3. So therefore, I want values for y that are above the line, not below. Equally, I want to satisfy the inequality 2x plus 3y is less than 12. Again, picking a value, one or the other side of the line. So let's go for this one here. Well, there my x value is 1, my y value is 5. So 2 times my x value, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 times my y value, 3 times 5, that's 15. So 2 plus 15 is 17. 17 is not less than 12. So therefore we want values not above the line, but below this line. So below this diagonal line and above this diagonal line. Equally, the values also have to be positive. So we need to highlight the positive values greater than the blue line and less than the red line. So therefore, the point there, the point there, there, and the final point there. They are the only 4 coordinate points that satisfy all the conditions. Here we've got 2 similar triangles. We want to calculate their lengths PR. First, if we think about the length scale factor, that equals 14 over 8. 8 times 14 over 8 gives me 14. So therefore the length PR will be 5 times 14 all over 8, which equals 8.75. Part B, the area of triangle ABC is 16 centimeters squared. We need to find the area of PQR. Well, if the length scale factor equals 14 over 8, then the area scale factor equals the length scale factor squared. 14 squared is 196, 8 squared, 64. So therefore I need to multiply 16 by 196 over 64. 16 times 196 over 64, which equals 49. Parveen travels to school either by bus or bicycle. She is then either late or not late. The probability that on any given day she will travel by bicycle is 0.7. Therefore the probability of travelling by bus must be 0.3. She either travels by one or the other. If she travels by bicycle, the probability that she will be late for school is 0.2. So therefore not late, she's either late or not late. Not late, 0.8. When she travels by bus, the probability that she will be late is 0.1. Therefore not late, 0.9. Part A, calculate the probability that on a randomly chosen day Parveen will travel by bus and be late for school. So travel by bus and be late, this one here. So travel by bus, 0.3, and is multiply, be late, 0.1, which gives me 0.03. Calculate the probability that on a randomly chosen day Parveen will not be late for school. Well, if she travels by bus and is not late, or the other option is that she can travel by bicycle and not be late. Now with probability, and is multiply, and or is plus. Probability she travels by bus, 0.3. Not late when travelling by bus, 0.9. Probability of travelling by bicycle, 0.7. Not late, 0.8. If you work that sum out on your calculator, you should get the solution, 0.83. 0.83. Calculate the distance QS. Well, first, if I work out this angle here, 180 minus 62 leaves me with 118 degrees. Now, in this triangle, I know a length and its opposite angle, and I want to find a length, QS, and its opposite angle. We should be thinking sine rule. Now, in terms of which sine rule to use, I want to find a length. So I'd suggest we use A over sine A equals B over sine B, rather than the other way up. Length A, 2.9 over sine of the opposite angle, sine 36, equals length B, that's what we want to find out, QS over sine of the angle. Rearranging this, so I want QS by itself, so timesing both sides by sine 118, 2.9 times sine 118, all over sine 36 equals QS. Therefore, the length QS equals 4.35626. Now we want to have 3 significant figures, so therefore 1, 2, 3, 6 rounds up, so final answer 4.36 to 3 significant figures. So correct to the nearest millimetre, the length of a side of a regular hexagon with 6 sides, is 3.6 centimetres or 36 millimetres. We'll see one above, 37 millimetres, one below, 35 millimetres. Now your upper bound will therefore be 36.5 millimetres, lower bound being 35.5 millimetres, halfway between. We want the perimeter and we want the upper bound for the perimeter, so therefore I've got 6 sides, each using the upper bound of the length, 36.5, which gives me a total perimeter length of 21.9 centimetres or 219 millimetres. Area of a rectangle equals length times width. Now if we want to calculate the width, well, that's going to be area divided by length. I want to find the lower bound of the width of the rectangle, so therefore I need the lower bound of the area but the upper bound of the length. Something small divided by something big will give me the smallest possible value. The lower bound of the area of the rectangle will correct to one significant figure, so 80 correct to one significant figure. The lower bound would therefore be 75. Correct to 2 significant figures. For the length of the rectangle, the upper bound would be 12.5. So therefore width 75, 12.5, which equals 6. Okay, firstly we know that the perimeter of the rectangle is 20. Perimeter is the distance around the edge of the rectangle. I need to therefore work out this length here. I've got a right angled triangle, so therefore using Pythagoras, x squared plus this unknown length, which I'm going to call h, height, equals 8 squared. Rearranging that, h squared equals 8 squared minus x squared, square rooting, so I get the height, 8 squared minus x squared, all square rooted. The perimeter I know is 20, so distance all the way around the edge. So perimeter 20 equals, well, I've got x plus h plus x plus h, x plus my h value plus another x plus again my h value, alternatively 2x plus 2 times my h value. First off, I'm going to divide everything by 2, as there's a common factor of 2 in every single term. Then I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And then I'm going to square both sides. Now squaring is a function you do to both sides. So I've got 10 minus x all squared equals root 8 squared minus x squared all squared. The left hand side, 10 minus x all squared, is the same as having 2 brackets, 10 minus x, 10 minus x. So multiplying that out would give me 100 minus 10x minus 10x plus x squared. That's the left hand side. And the right hand side, well, squaring is the opposite to square root. So I get left with 8 squared minus x squared. Bringing everything onto the left hand side. So I've got, let's think in terms of the x squareds first, plus x squared. Now to get rid of this minus x squared, I'm going to add on another x squared to both sides, which gives me 2x squared minus 10x minus 10x, so minus 20x. And then I've got 100. I'm going to get rid of the 8 squared, so taking off 64, 8 times 8 is 64. 100 minus 64, which gives me 36, equals 0. Now we're not quite there. Now I can divide through by 2 again, and I've got to the solution that they were after. Part B, solve the quadratic, give your solutions correct to 3 significant figures. Well, the easiest way to do this is to first specify the a, b and c value. And either put it into the quadratic formula or into your calculators. I suggest putting it into your calculators is easier. From that, you will get the solutions. 7.6457 and also 2.35424. Now to 3 significant figures, well, that's going to be 7.65 and also 2.35. Okay, here we've got a rather odd shape made up of a section of a circle, or a sector of a circle and a triangle. First, thinking about this angle here, well, 360 degrees all the way around, minus 150 gives me 210 degrees. Now I've got a fraction of an entire circle. The area of a whole circle is pi times my radius squared, but I don't want the whole area, I just want a fraction of it, and I want 210 degrees out of 360 degrees. That's the area of the sector. Then I need to add on the area of the triangle. Now on your formula sheets you'll see that the area of a triangle is given by a half AB sine C. A half times A, well, on the formula sheet I've got it written like this. So a half A, 7, times the length B, 7 plus 9, which is 16, times sine of the angle between the two, say sine 150. Typing that into your calculator will give you the solution, 118 centimeters squared to 3 significant figures. Now there are several ways you can do this question. The way I'm going to do it is times every single term by x. And then times every single term by x plus 4. Now we need to make y the subject, so I'm going to factorise the left hand side. I've got y in both terms on the left hand side. Y times x plus 4 will give me this first term here. Y times 2x will give me this second term here. I know that equals 3x brackets x plus 4. And we need to get y equals. So you need to divide by this entire bracket here. Now, that isn't particularly simplified at this point, and we need to leave our answer as simply as possible. Therefore, we'll need to simplify our fraction. Now, the simplest I can simplify the denominator is 3x plus 4. Nothing is going to cancel numerator and denominator, so let's leave the numerator in its simplest terms, which means in factorised form 3x brackets x plus 4. Do not be tempted to cancel the 3x's. Okay, the denominator is 3x plus 4, not just 3x. If it was just 3x, you would be able to cancel the 3x's. But we've got that extra plus 4 term. So therefore the final solution is this here, y equals 3x brackets x plus 4 all divided by 3x plus 4.